Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, February 6, 2012 meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners. We have a full quorum this morning. All three commissioners are present, and we'll begin with the flag salute. Commissioner Schulte.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have to do some training of Isaac. You can't put...
Okay, do I have a motion for minutes approval?
Okay, I'd move to approve the minutes of 6 February. Or not of 6 February, of, what was it? 30 January.
30 January, thank you.
I second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes of January 30th, 2012. Are there any questions, changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Nay. The motion carries. Okay, there is no public comment signed up. Would anybody like to comment that's here? Seeing none, we'll move forth with the notice agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to split the notice agenda, do items 1 and 2 separately, and until Margaret arrives, we'll hold one in abeyance. So I'd move to split the agenda.
Okay.
I second that.
Motion's made and seconded to split the notice agenda. So any questions or comments on that? And all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Commissioner Averill.
I'd like to move to approve item number 2, a proclamation.
I'll second that.
Proclamation, will the clerk please read that in the minutes?
I'll do that for her.
Okay, never mind.
Before the Board of County Commissioners of Lewis County, Washington, a proclamation designating February 2012 as Dating Violence Awareness Month. Whereas dating violence is a reality for many youth and an issue that many are unaware of, and whereas 1 in 3 young people are affected by physical, sexual, or verbal dating violence, with 1 in 5 in a serious relationship reporting having been slapped, pushed, hit, threatened, or coerced by a partner, and whereas breakups can be a time of even greater risk, even when a relationship was never physically abusive, and whereas young people can choose better relationships when they understand that healthy relationships are based on respect and learn to identify early warning signs of an abusive relationship, and whereas elimination of dating violence must be achieved through cooperation of individuals, organizations, and communities, and whereas Dating Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing dating violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2012 as Dating Violence Awareness Month in Lewis County, done in open session this 6th day of February 2012. I believe we have someone from HR in here.
Would you like to speak?
I'm Caitlin Maley, and this is Sarah White. We're 2 advocates from the Human Response Network.
Okay. We just have a few words on the proclamation. The victim advocates at Human Response Network wish to thank the Lewis County Commissioners for proclaiming February as Dating Violence Awareness Month. It is important that we as a community work together to ensure that our young people experience healthy, nonviolent relationships. We all have a role in reducing and preventing dating violence, whether you are a parent, a teacher, a prevention educator like Caitlin or I, or someone just interested in breaking the cycle of violence. And we hope that this proclamation will raise awareness about dating violence for our young people and the people who work with them and parent them. Thank you for recognizing this problem that affects Lewis County's youth.
Thank you. Personal note, this is an age-old issue. I can remember those years so many years ago, in high school that I know of, a young lady that was in a very abusive relationship. And I don't know why she didn't want to get out of it, but she didn't get out of it. And ended up marrying the guy and continued into that abusive relationship for several years before they were divorced. So it's a very important role.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve notice items 3 and 4, resolutions 12041 and 12042.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Before we do that, we need to take a vote on the proclamation.
Oh, yes, that'd be a good idea.
So I will ask for the vote on the proclamation to adopt the Dating Violence Awareness Month for the month of February. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, now, the motion has been
My
made
motion
and seconded
stands.
out of order. But to approve items 3 and 4 on the notice agenda, will the clerk please read those items into the minutes?
Item 3, notice publishing the opening of the Small Works roster for Lewis County. This is resolution number 12-041. Item 4, call for bids regarding the Lewis County Road Safety Project Phase 1. Bids are due on February 28, 2012 by 11 a.m. This is resolution number 12-042.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Elsey, Lewis County Public Works Director,
Tim.
speaking.
Could you pull that mic over a little bit? It's tough to hear you here.
Speaking to items number 3 and 4 on the notice agenda. Item number 3 is a notice publishing the opening of the Small Works roster for Lewis County, resolution number 12-041. The attached resolution will allow opening the Small Works roster to obtain applications from businesses interested in having their business placed on one or more of the rosters. The Small Works roster allows the county and agencies holding interlocal agreements to use contractors on the established list for projects between $35,000 and $300,000. Agencies currently holding interlocal agreements are Lewis County Conservation District, Lewis County Fire District Number 1, Onalaska, Lewis County Fire District Number 2, Toledo, Lewis County Fire District Number 8, Salcombe, Lewis County Fire District Number 11, PL, Lewis County Fire District Number 14, Randall, Lewis County Fire District Number 15, Winlock, Cowlitz, Lewis County Fire District Number 20, Lewis County Water District Number 1, and the Chehalis Centralia Airport. The Small Works roster will remain open per RCW 39.04.155. It is recommended that the BOCC approve the notice to allow advertising for the Small Works roster. You'll notice that we advertised for opening the consultant roster just a few weeks ago. So every year we advertise for opening these rosters, and anyone who is interested and qualifies can apply for being added to these rosters at any time during the year. We publish notice of their opening one time during the year, but at any time during the year they can get on the roster. And so this is the one time that we are publishing it this year.
Tim, just a couple of things. Number one, the reason we have a small works roster is because it allows us, by the use of that roster, to abbreviate the selection process on projects between $35,000 and $300,000.
That's correct.
So that it don't have to go through the RFP or RFQ process. It's still competitive because there are enough on the list that we select 3 or more from the roster, but they're on the roster ahead of time. And secondly, would you give an idea of who's on this roster? It's a long list. I don't want you to read the whole thing, but give us some examples.
I have an example of the types of businesses that are on this roster. And it could be for aerial photography, asphalt concrete paving, debris removal, drywall, general contracting for buildings, GIS, geodatabase. So several different categories in here. And I do want to mention that you mentioned a very good distinction. This allows us to go through a modified bidding process, but it still is a competitive bidding process when we go through this. And this is regulated by the RCWs, but we also get direction from MRSC, and we follow their direction on this as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tim, just a quick question on the interlocals. Are these interlocals set to expire at the same time, different times, or do we have a 5-year limit on this like we do on most stuff? Or
any that we've done since you guys have requested that they be 5 years have been 5 years. Any before that probably are not for 5 years.
So these are still staggered somewhat regardless, so, okay. Thank you.
Item number 4 on your notice agenda, call for bids regarding the Lewis County Road Safety Project Phase 1. And bids are due on this on February 28, 2012 by 11 a.m. and they're due here in the Commissioner's office. This resolution calls for bids for Phase 1 of the Lewis County Road Safety Project. Lewis County previously applied for and was awarded $1.525 million for safety improvements to major collector and minor arterial roadways countywide. This grant is 100% federally funded through FHWA's Surface Transportation Program. This project will be completed in 2 phases. Phase 1 construction will include flexible guidepost installation by contract, along with regulatory guidance, warning signs, and pavement marking materials installed with agency force work. Phase 2 construction will include installation of guardrail at locations on roadways and intersections identified by accident data and guardrail warrants. Phase 2 construction will be authorized by a separate federal aid project number. Phase 1 construction has been authorized by WSDOT, local programs, and this bid call will allow Public Works to solicit sealed bids for contractor installation of approximately 3,300 flexible guideposts. This project is listed as number 17 on Lewis County's 2012 6-year Transportation Improvement Program. The proposed contract will provide for the improvements of approximately 95 miles of roadway in Lewis County by placing flexible guideposts, traffic control on various roads, and other work as directed by the engineer. Sealed bids for the Lewis County Road Safety Project Phase 1 shall be submitted to the Clerk of the Board of Lewis County Commissioners on or before 11 a.m. on Tuesday, February 28, 2012. Bids submitted after 11 a.m. will not be considered for this project. We recommend that you approve the call for bids for Lewis County Road Safety Project Phase 1.
Okay, and you mentioned Phase 2, but this is not a Phase 2 bid. The bid's only for Phase 1.
That's correct.
And they need to be in by 11 because they'll be opened at 11:30 in this same room on Tuesday.
That's correct. Thank you for the clarification.
And Tim, this project, I want to make note that we have, it sounds like a lot. We're doing 95 miles of roadway, but we have around 1,000 miles of road, of county road in Lewis County.
1,050, yes. That's
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot, but it's really only a small percentage of the total roads in the county.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the notice agenda, items 3 and 4? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote on items 3 and 4 on the notice agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda, items 5 through 11. Resolution number 12-043 through 12-049.
Second.
Mo- Okay. Clerk has informed me that we need to break out item number 11 as a separate item. So I would ask that you revise that motion.
So I would move to approve the consent agenda, items 5 through 10, 12-043 through 12-048.
Concur.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda items. Will the clerk please read those items into the minutes?
Item 5, resolution number 12-043, approval of warrants and payroll for payment. Item 6, resolution number 12-044, approval of an agreement with Washington State Office of Public Defense for public defense improvement funds. Item 7, resolution number 12-045, adoption of the 2012 standard specifications for road, bridge, and municipal construction. Item 8, resolution number 12-046, appointment of a member to the Lewis County Planning Commission. Item 9, resolution number 12-047, reappointment of a member to the Timberland Regional Support Network Quality Review Team. Item 10, resolution number 12-048, supporting a secure, convenient medicine return program to reduce public safety and environmental impacts of unwanted medicine.
I just point out that item 9 is actually a reappointment and an appointment. There are 2 in that motion, so. And that'll become clear when it's explained. Item number 5, resolution 12-043, approves 150 warrants issued by the auditor's office for $143,105.37. It also approves 430 automatic deposit checks totaling $1,220,912.52, and 144 payroll warrants for net pay, and 62 payroll warrants for benefits and deductions for a total of $3,203,838.90. Item 6, Resolution 12044, approves an agreement between Lewis County and the Washington State Office of Public Defense for public defense improvement funds in the amount of $45,653. The contract is for a half-year period from January 1 through June 30, 2012, and is provided to improve the quality of public defense services in Washington State counties. The Lewis County Board of County Commissioners contract with individual defense attorneys in the county to provide public defense services in both the district and superior courts. These funds are used to improve public defense services. I would point out that this is just a half year of the contract, and it's because of the budget problems that the state is suffering this year. And so they've designated the part through the 30th of June, and then hopefully this legislative session will approve the remainder of the money for the remainder or for the next section of the year. We had already received the money previously, and this just approves the contract. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Elsey, Lewis County Public Works Director, speaking to item number 7 on your consent agenda, resolution number 12-045, adoption of the 2012 standard specifications for road, bridge, and municipal construction. RCW 3686080 requires that all new construction, to the extent feasible, to be done in uniform design standards. RCW 3686020 through 030 sets forth the basic requirements for creation, adoption, and use of minimum construction standards for county roads and bridges. It requires them to be used for all new construction and, as far as practicable, for all reconstruction of roads comprising the county road system. The Washington State Department of Transportation and the American Public Works Association have adopted the 2012 standard specifications for road, bridge, and municipal construction, governing construction requirements that went into effect the beginning of January 2, 2012. As required by the certified agency agreement with WashDOT, Lewis County must adopt the same. It is our recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the 2012 standard specifications for road, bridge, and municipal construction as per the LAG, the LA agreement, and RCW 3686080. As you're aware, WashDOT about every other year modifies their standard specifications, and at that time it is up to the local agencies, based on the certified agency agreement that we have with them, to adopt the same standard specifications. It sort of kills two birds for one stone, with one stone for us, in that the RCW 3686 requires that we adopt road standards and specifications, and this allows where WashDOT develops the standard specifications, we adopt the specifications. As you know, we already have road standards that govern the construction and reconstruction of roads within the county, and this is the standard specifications that go along with those road standards.
And probably a good way to explain that is that one of the problems we have in the state of Washington because of winter weather is the material that's been used in the freeways over the years tends to rut. And every once in a while, they'll come up with a new composition, hoping to the rutting to not be as bad. That's what we're talking about in specifications, the materials actually used on the roads, as opposed to the road will be 26 feet wide and stuff of that nature.
That's a very good example, and asphalt is a very good example, because they came out with what they called the sharp pavement design several years ago, and before that they had very wide specifications throughout the United States for asphalt oils. The sharp designs allow for regionally specific designs based on your temperature, your high temperature, your low temperature, average temperature for different months. So that's a very good example.
Two things, Tim. One, since you've read this whole document, this whole thing, did you note of any significant changes that are in that
There are some minor changes, and I have not read the entire document, but they did send out an email outlining all of the changes. There's some minor changes, nothing that's huge for us by any means.
So the comment by Commissioner Averill, does that account for the fact that we can be driving down the freeway and have one section be very smooth and the next section be very rough for some reason or another? I never quite been able to figure that out. I noticed the area right through Fife is very smooth, and between Fife and Federal Way, it starts to get really rough.
That's the difference between concrete and asphalt.
Not necessarily. Some of it's all asphalt. So,
Well, and I don't, it could on some occasions account for that, especially prior to the sharp pavement design, rutting was much worse. So it could certainly account for that. You can see that actually in and around the Spokane area very, very clearly. But generally, that's more due to the age of the construction than it is due to the materials and specifications.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is the appointment of a new member to the Lewis County Planning Commission. And Bob, you're going to do that, or you want me to do it? I've got some more information, but you go ahead and I'll give you more information.
Well, I can stand here and add to it if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Bob
You
Johnson.
just lip.
Bob Johnson, Director of Community Development, speaking to item number 8 on the consent agenda. That's Resolution 12-046. This is an appointment to fill a position that was previously filled by Bill Russell from up in the Cispus area. And before I talk to the actual resolution, I just want to personally, and I think the board probably would join in, want to thank Bill Russell. For many years, he served several terms on the Planning Commission, and he served during a time when the county was tackling some really, really important issues in policy, making some policy decisions, particularly the rural area designations and the agricultural resource lands. And Bill did that as a planning commissioner in an exemplary fashion. He was very dedicated to what he was doing. And I personally want to thank him for his participation and all the dedicated hours that both he and his wife, Yvonne, put into the Planning Commission. They had to travel a long way, and in some instances, we had several meetings a day that Bill was involved in. He was also involved when we went through the rezone for Cardinal Glass, which again was a seminal decision that in a process that had never been done by the state before, and he served the county well, I believe, and I want to thank him.
Add to that statement is the fact that he and his wife were involved in 2 very serious auto accidents during his tenure as a planning commission member. And the last, when I spoke to Bill a couple weeks ago, his wife was undergoing another series of tests and surgeries that she had to complete. So it's been a very trying experience for him and his wife, Yvonne. Thank you, Bob.
Now, speaking to this resolution, Mr. Russell's term expired on December 31st of 2011. The Planning Commission is a voluntary board appointed by the Board of County Commissioners, and they serve a very important function to provide recommendations to the Planning Department and take policy decisions that the board is going to make, particularly related to comprehensive planning and development regulations. They take that to the public and kind of take the pulse of the public with respect to that through the public participation process with public meetings and with public hearings. And they make recommendations back to the Planning Department, and that whole process gets folded into our comprehensive plan and development regulations. So it's a very important function that the Planning Commission performs. This appointment is for a 4-year term to the Planning Commission. It appoints Clinton M. Brown Jr. from Randall to replace Mr. Russell for a 4-year term. And this would be District 3, which is Commissioner Gross's district.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that the Planning Commission is divided so that it represents all of the county, so that there are 7 members, so it doesn't have exact membership for each commissioner district. But and I think is District still 3 still 3? District 3 has 3 members.
I think so.
And the other 2 have 2 members on it.
Currently.
But that's the idea of keeping all 3 of the commissioner districts represented on the Planning Commission. As many of you know, before I was elected, I served on 2 special commissions for the Planning Commission on the Growth Management Act in terms of having to respond to declarations of incomplete product. And so have worked very closely with the Planning Commission over the years. And Bill Russell, through much of the time that I was working with the Planning Commission, was a member. And he really asked very, very good questions. He's very dedicated to this, and he served in his last couple of years on the Planning Commission as the chair. So I wish both of the Russells the best for the future, and again want to add my thanks for his dedication and assistance to the county.
Bill Russell recommended Mr. Brown as an appointee. I asked Bill if he had anybody in mind that could take his place, and Mr. Brown is a neighbor of Bill, relatively new to the state of Washington. He moved here from Houston, Texas, but he's got family in the area. His wife is from the Olympia area. And so they moved back to Washington in 2006, and in my interview with him, he indicated that he was very interested in personal property rights, which appealed to me. And he has a sincere interest in land use and planning issues, and wishes to make Lewis County an even better place to live. And he's looking very much forward to his serving on the Lewis County Planning Commission, and we will welcome him to that position. I think he'll do a fine job. He is an ex-trial lawyer from Houston, Texas. And he's only 44, so he can serve for like 10 terms, and he'll be in good shape.
I think 3 is.
Thank you, Bob.
Tara Smith, Lewis County Public Health and Social Services, speaking to item number 9, resolution number 12-047, which is the reappointment and appointment of members to the Timberland Regional Support Network Quality Review Team. The reappointment is for Lorona Lorber. She's a resident of Chehalis, and her term expired in December, and she will be reappointed for 2 years. And then Tracy McDougall is a new appointment for Lewis County, but she served on the Quality Review Team for Pacific County and has relocated to Chehalis as well. Their role on this team is to review cases of individuals who receive mental health treatment, talk to individuals, and look at the quality of the services being provided and give that feedback back to the Timberlands Regional Support Network Advisory Board for planning of future services.
Yes, and we've had one position empty for, I think, a little bit over a year. So this is good that we have 2 members back on the Quality Review Team to work with Cascade Mental Health and the clients here in the area. We also will have another candidate to fill the empty position on the advisory board, so hopefully in the next week or 2 we'll get her appointed on, and then we'll be up to speed on the advisory board as well. So we're doing very well there. Now all we need to do is hopefully the Cowlitz tribe will respond and give us a nominee for the tribe.
Thank you.
You want me to do the next one as
Yes.
well, Commissioner? Okay. Item number 10, resolution number 12-048, supporting a secure, convenient medicine return program to reduce public safety and environmental impacts of unwanted medications. This is a resolution to support legislation that's moving forward in the state to have pharmaceutical companies be responsible for paying for the secure take-back of medications. This is to reduce environmental concerns of disposal, drug abuse, just the safe disposal. Right now, we have medication disposal program in the county. There are 5 different drop boxes. They were put in place with funding from a grant, but the law enforcement who has to empty them, weigh them, taking it as evidence, and then dispose of it is done on a voluntary basis by those offices. So it is at a cost to the county and the cities to do that. This would make the pharmaceutical companies responsible for that. They do it in other countries, and it would just make it that much easier and safer for people to dispose of their medicines.
Lewis County has already run this program for a couple of years, even before this bill was proposed. So we've been doing it a while. It used to be that the doctors would recommend you flush the unused portion of your medicines down the toilet, and that started showing up in water supplies.
And happy fish.
Strange fish. So we've been doing this for a while. We're ahead of the power curve again.
Correct.
Yeah, we are ahead of the power curve, but the state is not. And that's essentially why we've chosen to get on board and endorse the legislation that's currently before the legislature. I get my medications, or many of my medications, from Mannequin Hospital. And the federal government, at least in the military, has been taking back medications almost as long as I can remember. But it's not been done in the state of Washington, and there's no authority to do it. It makes great sense that the local pharmacy take the medications back and provide for the disposal. And while we've got a good program, and we do, we collected 900 pounds of medications, I think, during the past year. And when you think about the fact that that's mostly little small pills, that's just a huge amount that we've collected voluntarily with folks in the area. And so if we could get a regular program in the state where you use the pharmacy to get them back, hopefully even more would be taken out of circulation. And obviously, when someone's sitting there with codone or one of these drugs that the young folks are looking for to get their highs on, getting those medications that are no longer being used out of the home would be a great achievement.
Is there any other comment or questions on items 5 through 10 in the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of resolutions 5 through 10 in the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve Resolution 12049.
Second. Clerk, please read that item into the minutes.
Item 11, resolution number 12-049, authorizing legal defense and indemnity for Lewis County employee, for a Lewis County employee.
Paulette.
Good morning, Commissioners. Paulette Young, Lewis County Safety and Risk Administrator, here to talk to you about Resolution 12-049. Lewis County Commissioner Schulte and Jane Doe Schulte have been named in legal action filed in the United States District Court for the Western District of Washington for allegations taken while in the course of performance for his duties for Lewis County. Commissioner Schulte has requested defense and indemnification for himself and for Jane Doe Schulte pursuant to resolutions 03-042 and 04-164. Under these resolutions, Michael and Alexander PLLC will be requested to provide legal defense for Commissioner Schulte and Jane Doe Schulte. I'd like to add one more comment in there. He is only named as one of the defendants within this lawsuit. Lewis County and the Board of County Commissioners and Commissioner Schulte were all named in this lawsuit.
Any other comments? And I'll call for the vote on item number 11. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
I abstain.
Motion carries. With one abstention.
Did we vote on the other?
Okay, Edna.
She's not here, but But we're having an open, or the museum is having a function for Margaret on Wednesday. Let me go ahead and read the proclamation, and then Edna can speak to it.
Or if you'd like, we're all going to be there on Wednesday. We could issue the proclamation on Wednesday if you'd like.
Well,
Could we approve it today?
let's approve it and read it on Wednesday,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
So,
I'd move then to approve a proclamation designating February 8th as Margaret Shields Day.
I second that.
motion is made and seconded to approve the proclamation designating February 8th as Margaret Shields Day. Will you read that in the minutes, sir?
Before the Board of County Commissioners of Lewis County, Washington, a proclamation designating February 8th, 2012 as Margaret Shields Day. Whereas Margaret Shields has been a volunteer for the Lewis County Historical Museum for 34 years, and whereas Margaret Shields made the first donation for the new Lewis County Historical Society Endowment Fund, and whereas Margaret Shields has worked with 11 Lewis County Historical Museum directors and several acting directors, and whereas Margaret Shields has encouraged thousands of school children to research and value their local history, and whereas Margaret Shields has provided the stability for the Lewis County Historical Museum during unsteady times, and whereas Margaret Shields is receiving the South Sound Heritage Association Award, therefore we declare Wednesday, February 8th, 2012, as Margaret Shields Day. We encourage citizens of the county to join us in celebrating with Margaret at the Lewis County Historical Museum from 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, February 8th. Done in open session this 6th day of February 2012, Board of County Commissioners of Lewis County. Edna, I'd love for you to make some comments here.
Margaret Shields is a treasure of Lewis County. She was a Rosie the Riveter at the Boeing plant, which was in the old PUD building. She was born in this area, has lived a lot of history, but she poo-poos that. She's, well, Rosie the Riveter, that's not a big deal. And we all know that is a big deal. She has more data up in that brain than any of our files at the museum. She knows where every picture of the 20,000 pictures we have in that museum, she knows which one to go to pick it up. She is someone we need to really celebrate. She is 90 years old, has been a volunteer, received no money in 34 years at the Lewis County Historical Museum. She's a remarkable lady, and I would hope everyone would come and rejoice with us in her receiving her award from the South Sound Heritage Association. A reminder, this Wednesday between 11:30 and 1:30, come to the museum and shake Margaret's hand and tell her how much you appreciate her. Thank you.
Thank you, Edna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment? Then I'll call for the vote on the proclamation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, that concludes the regular business. We have a hearing this morning. Mr. Elsey, Mr. Martin, are you ready?
Is this on Joppish Road or Boyceford Road?
If it's on Joppish, I protest.
Follow the standard hearing procedures. We'll have a brief staff presentation, followed by a question and answer period, followed by the hearing itself. And so we're ready to begin. The hearing will open with a presentation from the staff.
Thank you. Eric Martin, Maintenance and Traffic Engineer for Lewis County Public Works. And I'm here today to provide testimony to the proposed traffic ordinance 215, which will affix a maximum speed limit, a posted speed limit of 40 miles per hour on a section of Joppish Road from milepost 0.286 to milepost 1.775. A traffic study was instigated in 2011 based on some comments from citizens that live off of Joppish Road that were concerned about the speed limit, which is currently posted at, that portion is currently posted at 50 miles per hour. just a little bit of background on Joppish Road. It's a rural local access road. It's 1.775 miles in length and it begins at Galvin Road and runs to an intersection with Cooks Hill. There is a portion of that road that's currently posted at 25 miles per hour, and that's from milepost 0 to milepost 2.86 that runs through a residential area in the Galvin area west of the Centralia urban growth area. 0.286, yeah, just a little over quarter mile. And then the speed limit for the remainder of the road is 50 miles per hour. There are several horizontal curves in that 50-mile-an-hour section, which do have an advisory warning speed signs on them, but were taken into account in this study. So the study was conducted, and it was found that there is a lot of voluntary compliance already with a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit out there. The 85th percentile was right at 40 miles per hour, which made the decision fairly easy that's a good recommended speed. We did find that in the last 5 years there were 4 run-off-the-road accidents also in that kind of curvy area of Joppish Road, which also would lend itself to a lower speed limit.
If they'd have used a wide track Pontiac, they wouldn't have had as much trouble making those corners.
What's a horizontal curve?
Yeah.
Is there a vertical curve?
Vertical curve would be, if you're coming up over a hill or through a sag area on a straight stretch.
And you got a curve at the same
Horizontal
time?
curve's just a bend in the road.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would point out that at the end of Joppish that's on Galvin, that you're in the small town or old small town of Galvin, and the houses are fairly close together. That's why the 25 mile per hour through that section of Joppish in Galvin.
Correct, and we're not recommending any changes there.
Yeah.
And we've discussed the 85th percentile with this board before, but the 85th percentile basically is the speed at which 85% of the people driving that road are driving that speed or lower. We've also discussed that whenever we set a speed limit, there's always someone that would prefer to see the median speed or the average speed be used as the speed limit. But what that does is it makes every other person driving that road a speeder. So with the 85th percentile, it basically assumes that 85% of the people that drive the road drive consistently and consistent with the proper speed of the road, and 15% of the people that drive the road drive like Commissioner Averill.
What's our question. What's our approximate volume on that
I
road?
protest. I was not driving above the speed limit. It's posted at 50.
Okay. We were just checking to see whether you were in the upper percentile or the lower percentile.
That 85 percentile, if we get everybody to drive faster on Highway 6, that will raise the speed limit?
We have no control of the state highways.
I was just using the traffic engineer's 85 percentile.
We have no control over Highway 6, Commissioner.
No control over Highway 6. I would point out that yes, my Pontiac Grand Prix with wide track can make those curves fairly easily, but my wife is uncomfortable when I'm going that fast on that particular road. Of course, then she's uncomfortable whenever she's in the car with me.
Just to answer your question, Commissioner Gross, we found average
Are you
daily.
trying to bring us back to text?
No.
I did have a legitimate question.
Yeah, just to answer your question, we found the average daily traffic in our study to be 211 cars per day. So.
Okay, so 1% of that was Commissioner Averill. Okay, are there any other questions, legitimate questions?
The reason I use Joppish Road is my daughter lives in Galvin, and I live on the backside of Cooks Hill, so I do go through Joppish to get to her house.
Are there any other questions on the hearing for Joppish Road speed limit? Any other questions? Then I'll close the question and answer period and ask if you're open the hearing, and we'll ask if your comments would like to be incorporated in the hearing.
Yes.
Okay, then we open the hearing portion. Would anybody like to give testimony that hasn't already been given in this matter before the board? Anyone like to give testimony? Then I will close the hearing and proceed to call for a vote on traffic ordinance number 215.
Well, then I'll make a resolution to approve traffic ordinance 215.
I'll second that.
The motion is made and seconded to approve traffic ordinance 215. Is there any further comment?
Can we get the
Will
clerk to
Clerk,
read
please
that?
read those into the minutes. I'm sorry.
Traffic ordinance number 215, an ordinance fixing the maximum speed at which vehicles may be operated over Joppish Road in Lewis County, Washington, defining offenses and providing penalties for the violation thereof.
Okay, no further comment. I'll call for the vote. All-
My only comment is that this is, you know, with the test and that, and do some joking about how I can maneuver the road, but it's not just being able to make it around the corners. It can be dangerous to folks that are either walking on the road, and unfortunately, a large number of people do walk on that road with no sidewalks on it. And there are streets that come off of it that if you're doing 50, it might make it difficult to judge when you can make a safe turn. So the idea of going down to the 40 makes sense.
Yeah, the speed limit sign's already been changed. All in favor of traffic ordinance number 215 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
I would second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We are adjourned.